Hi, I'm Daniella DeMarco. I am an assistant accountant at Farncombe Estate in Broadway. I have recently started my journey with ACCA. Today we are celebrating International Women's Day and I am joined by the Deputy President, Melanie Prophet.
Hello, I'm Melanie Prophet. I'm a long-standing ACCA member, and as Daniella has just said, I also have the privilege of holding the position of Deputy President for ACCA.
We are here today celebrating International Women's Day by sharing inspiration between today's and tomorrow's leaders.
And to take this conversation around the world, we're joined by leaders and future leaders in Malaysia and Pakistan. So I'm going to hand over to them to introduce themselves.
I'm Zaiton. I'm Vice President of the ACCA. I run an organisation in Malaysia called MyPack, which gives opportunities to students from underprivileged families to pursue professional accountancy qualifications.
Hi, my name is Sharifah and I'm from Malaysia. I'm currently taking the ACCA papers and is currently a benefactor of MyPack Scholar.
Hi everyone, my name is Saman and Ayla. I am a proud ACC affiliate and currently I'm working as a business consultant in Ernst & Young Ford Road's Islamabad office.
Hello everyone, my name is Ayla Majid. I'm the Global President of ACCA, Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, and I'm also the CEO of Planative, which works in Pakistan and Middle East.
Thank you, Ayla. Now that we're all introduced, I will start with my first question. What has motivated you to pursue a career in accountancy?
Well, Daniella, with a surname like Prophet, I have to say there's probably a little bit of normative determinism in there. Maths was my strongest and best subject at school. I had an amazing maths teacher who really inspired me to do the best that I can. I think the other thing I would say is that I always love solving problems and puzzles, and who doesn't like doing a good jigsaw where you get all the pieces together and create a picture? And I feel like that's what we do really.
Yeah, definitely.
We pull all the pieces together and we create a picture for the organisation.
I agree.
So Daniella, you've started this ACCA journey. What do you think the future holds for you? You know, what does your career path look like and how are you going to get there?
Well, I think the first one, definitely pass my exams.
It's a good start.
Yeah, I think so. Now moving on to ACCA, I've changed job roles, I've moved into industry from practice, but no, I'm excited.
What excites you the most, do you think?
I just feel like nothing's really holding me back, nothing's stopping me. I've got a great role model. The fact it is, you know, a well-known qualification, I could go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the world's your oyster,
yeah,
isn't it?
Quite literally.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's the thing. And I think, you know, what I always say to students starting out is just remain curious. You know, keep asking why, keep sort of wanting to understand more and learn more.
What would you say the key milestones in your career have been and how did you navigate them?
Really, the first one was becoming an ACCA member. You know, I think when you reflect on your career, some of the really nice things and some of the really nice milestones, and when you see people like yourself grow and develop. So, you know, I feel like I'm leaving a little trail of Daniellas behind me of, you know, people who I'm trying to inspire to go on my journey and become ACCA members and silence that inner critic and take on the big challenges because, you know, we've got just as much capability as the men in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
And you can see that rising when you look at the statistics in terms of getting representation. I don't think we're there yet, but it's happening.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, we are getting there.
Have you noticed many changes throughout the years? If so, what are they?
There's been a lot going on in the UK sort of legislations. You know, we've got gender pay reporting. That doesn't mean to say we've solved the problem, but at least we're starting to report on it and look at it. I do think the pandemic had a play in accelerating flexible working. The ability to sort of work different hours and work from home really challenged organisations. And we've seen, you know, things like parental leave. You know, you're starting to see that being shared between couples. So I think we've seen a lot of changes, but there's still a lot to do. But talking about it on International Women's Day is the first start, shining the light on some of the metrics that organisations are doing.
What specific actions do you think are needed to accelerate gender equality within the workplace?
I think it's a bit of a mindset, really, Daniella. I think businesses need to really look at perhaps their own internal policies and the way that they work.
Yeah, definitely.
There's so many different things around training people, but equally, in recruitment, talking about bias, unconscious bias, blind recruiting where you don't see the name of the individual. There's lots of things that businesses can do to try and encourage that. We definitely have equal pay, and that is a legal requirement in the UK in terms of job roles. We shouldn't be looking necessarily to legislation and government requirements. I think it should come from businesses.
Yeah, and I think when businesses, especially respected businesses, uphold these policies, I think it filters down quite quickly.
Yeah.
And the consumer and the employees will soon pick up on that.
Yeah, I think it's good that you call out the consumer in this as well, so businesses will be sustainable and will thrive if they adopt these sorts of more ethical, inclusive policies and procedures and values, and live by them. So, lots of changes, but lots to do.
Positive changes.
Positive changes. We're going in the right direction.
Definitely.
Thank you, Daniella. That was great. So, shall we pose a question over to Malaysia now? So, let's go over to Malaysia and ask them what advice would they give to a young woman starting out in their career in Malaysia?
Firstly, I think you must have passion for the profession. You must have a target for yourself, what you want to be, and then you work towards it. After you qualify, keep on learning. That continuing professional development will bring you a long way as opposed to someone who stopped learning after they have qualified. So, Sharifah, what have you planned for yourself in terms of your career? How do you see yourself 5-10 years from now?
I'm still finishing my studies, but my plan is to definitely go into the industry, gain some experiences, and I would like to climb the corporate ladder and be one of the top management in a company. At least that is my vision for now.
Oh, amazing. That's very good.
Speaking of that, since we are talking for International Women's Day, right, I'm actually really curious surrounding women having a tougher time when it comes to climbing up the corporate ladder.
So I say to them, rather than waste your time complaining, why don't you acquire knowledge? Because even if you don't like where you're working, if you have the knowledge, you can move somewhere else, for example. And knowledge is something that no one can take away from you, really, because it stays with you. And therefore, things like gender, race, biasness, old boys club, all this will have to go out the window. It has to be based on competence.
When you look at the statistic, it shows that the number of women in leadership roles tend to be really low when it comes to men. So I'm just wondering whether or not that is something that is still occurring, and whether that would be a barrier for somebody like me to climb up and be, as you said, maybe one day being the CEO of a company.
I think in terms of, let's talk about the Malaysian environment, in the organizations that I'm involved in, the board plays a very important role. And the board needs to ensure that the companies have a very well-structured succession planning program where it is based on competence and knowledge. And you can see even now on the public listed company boards for the top 100 companies in Malaysia, there was a target of 30% of the board members need to be women. We've exceeded that. So I can only see the future to be better. I'm not saying it's all fine and dandy now. It's certainly improving, and therefore I think the future really is very bright for professional women like you who are coming on to the market.
Thank you so much.
How do you think the corporate sector can support aspiring young women who are entering the workforce like yourself? What sort of support do you like to see?
Actually, I have a lot of thoughts about this because I was researching. I would like to be supported with good colleagues in an environment where they actually encourage people to grow, where they would take somebody to actually nurture them. I want to see one day Malaysia having better maternity leave, such as the Scandinavian countries, which has maternity leaves for up to almost a year, and some even more than that.
I have seen examples of organizations in Malaysia who are very supportive of young women in the workforce. For example, the Securities Commission, they have a childcare center right within the building. It's not just the output these days, it's the outcome of what you're doing. And as long as you're delivering on your targets and what you're supposed to do, how you do it, when you do it, there needs to be a lot more flexibility. What skills do you think are essential for you to be a successful accountant in today's world?
Basically, you need to be a nice person, to have a really good team spirit, to always be there for others, and always to have the humility to learn something new, to work with other people, to not see yourself as above any other person. And basically just trying to learn from the best. And right, I feel like I'm doing it right now. And
Thank you.
And of course doing a lot of connections with people that would benefit me, that has contributed a lot of things in Malaysia.
Actually, you are practicing precisely what I have been doing in my career, which is I like to speak to older people who have been more experienced. Like I learned a lot about how to be a board member from very senior board members in Malaysia, chairmen and so forth. And sometimes, you know, in a conversation of 1 hour, you learn a lot more than reading books. I'm not saying you shouldn't read books, you should do that as well, but talking to these people from their own experience, how they've actually developed their own career and being on boards and so forth actually was very helpful in my journey.
Oh, I feel like the advice really hits me because I'm somebody that loves reading books too. There will be somebody who used to be like me who thinks that you could gain knowledge just based off reading other people's memoirs. It's not the same as actually meeting and speaking to somebody with experience.
Hi Ayla, we have been having a very nice chat here, me and Sharifah. I was wondering whether you might want to cover the area of how you would encourage young women in Pakistan to pursue a career in accountancy.
I believe the future is in the hands of the young generation like yourself. It's basically to show women that what are the kind of possibilities that a solid qualification like accounting can bring to them. And the areas in terms of the areas are so wide in terms of where they can work and where they can sort of contribute, the sectors, the roles, etc.
For somebody who has had years of experience, where do you think women empowerment is today in Pakistan compared to the time when you had started out?
Yeah, so I started about 2 decades ago. From then to now, not only in Pakistan, I've seen these trends globally as well. A lot has changed, evolved for the better. There are so many opportunities, of course, for people to try their skills in and sort of in terms of whether it is a formal employment, whether it is working in a flexible manner, etc. Second, I would say technology has really enabled all of this. I would actually like to ask you that because when I started my career such a long time ago, how do you feel that the enablement with technology, do you see it a big driver? What are the challenges? Can you guys live without that?
Okay, so I mean, back at your time, I think a lot of work was done manually and all the meetings were face to face, right? Now, fast forward to the 21st century, a lot of work is done online, and the ease that technology has provided, it has sort of created a global connectivity. I am sitting here, I can have meetings with clients globally anywhere in the world. And no, I don't think this generation or the coming generation can live without technology because I feel like it has become such an important aspect of our life. And certainly with the recent developments, AI. And AI is actually transforming the work that we are doing now. Technology is the future. And technology is also enabling many women in Pakistan. I mean, those who cannot maybe go to schools or universities, there are many options for them. I mean, those obviously who have access to technology, to internet, they can sit at home and they can learn a lot.
Absolutely. And I would like to quote one project here, which is a government-led project that is happening. It is to provide enablement and connectivity in underserved areas. And I think that is very, very important, because when we talk about inclusivity, we need to make sure that the fiber optic and the data availability, the broadband connectivity is available to the best, of course, to the last mile.
So my next question to you is, I mean, females have faced discrimination. They have been sort of subjected to bias. Do you think that over a period has changed?
Yes, the level of bias used to be perhaps more, or the acceptability of women in certain roles was perhaps less many years ago. It has certainly changed, certainly improved. And I believe for our organization, of course, our numbers are great. In fact, at the moment, everybody in the leadership, it is
all females.
It is also a team composed of women.
And that is honestly very inspiring. The president is a woman, the deputy president, as well as the vice president.
Absolutely.
So it's historic.
And then our chief executive is also a woman, a remarkable one. So I think it just sort of presents to the world that what women leadership can do. When we bring women in, say, the formal economy, we as a country grow. I just recently met the first female Supreme Court judge, Justice Aisha Malik. That's so remarkable to see. See, she's a role model. The first Muslim female Prime Minister, I believe it was Benazir Bhutto.
Now she's in that position. I am pretty sure she has motivated, inspired so many girls out there that yes, this is achievable, that yes, you can do it, and it is not only a male-dominated role.
So Saman, tell me, you are the new generation accountant. If you could influence one big change, what would that be and why?
I'll give you an answer from our society, from a local perspective. So when I started ACCA, in my journey, the ratio between guys and girls was a bit off. I mean, in my class, if there were 10 guys, then compared to them, there was only one girl. One thing I would like to do is maybe make some effort to, sort of expand the career options for women out there so that they have knowledge. This is one thing that I have been trying to do.
And I would say that is such a fabulous, such a great answer, because you are addressing such an important challenge. And this is the reality. And I think accessibility is something that we need to provide to people, empower people, and all the way to the last mile. Saman, I've enjoyed so much talking to you. Thank you for inspiring me, and all the best with what you are doing. And I'm sure we will have more interactions.
For sure. It's been a pleasure having you here, and I am incredibly grateful for the conversation that we had today.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us in celebrating the International Women's Day with us. This is a conversation that has been happening all over the world, and we are so happy and delighted to join you and bringing our perspective to you. Thank you.